Hello and welcome everybody to today's webinar, How to Trade Commodity Currencies, with myself, Phil Carr, at the Gold and Silver Club. So during today's session, we will be covering live market analysis. We'll go through a watch list of trade ideas. We'll go through the analysis of where we expect gold, silver and crude oil and commodity currencies to be heading next. We'll be answering questions, and as always, we will be providing live support. There is an option to ask questions just prior to just prior to us going over to our technical analysis. You've got an option to ask any questions in the chat box. So before we get into it, let me introduce you to the Gold and Silver Club. The Gold and Silver Club are regarded as the go-to authority on commodities trading, as internationally respected experts. Our analysis and our opinions on the metals, energies, and the cryptocurrency markets, they're routinely sought by major financial television channels and publications, which include Bloomberg, Reuters, CNBC, the Financial Times, the Wall Street Journal, and our team of experts has trained and mentored thousands of traders from all over the world to invest in the financial markets with confidence using our exclusive strategies. So for further information on the Gold and Silver Club and our live trading room service, just go to www.jointhelivetradingroom.com. Okay, so today's focus is going to be on the commodity currencies, and it's definitely good timing. We're seeing right now quite a few reversals in the market. The Australian dollar, US dollar at the moment is catching a bid. New Zealand dollar, US dollar, we're also seeing some strength as well. The dollar is starting to pull back. I'm seeing additional trade setups line up with some of the dollar correlations here as well. And gold and silver look interesting here. We've broken down to one-year lows yesterday on both gold and silver, and now silver has just reclaimed back above $15.50, and you've got gold here trading at $1,226. So it's good timing, guys. Very good that you're here right now. Get this information at the moment, and we can look at some of the trade ideas which are setting up in the markets. So first of all, commodity currencies. So what are they and what do you need to know? Commodity currencies is the name given to currencies of countries which depend very heavily on the export of raw materials for income. So within the foreign exchange market, the commodity currencies generally refer to the Australian dollar, the Canadian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, the Norwegian krone, South African rand, Brazilian real, and the Russian ruble. Okay, so Canada produces a large quantity of commodities, including natural gas, timber, oil, oil, and this makes Canada's economy very sensitive to commodity prices. So a lot of the moves, especially with oil, can be traded via US dollar, Canadian dollar, US dollar CAD. We'll have a look at that shortly on the charts. Australia is one of the world's most natural resource-rich countries. It has very large holdings of gold, iron, coal, and aluminium, and as a result, it makes it very tradable as a correlation with gold prices and also copper as well. There's often a lot of correlation. So, for example, right now, the Australian dollar is rallying, and you're also seeing copper break out to the upside as well. Both are pretty much moving in tandem if you look at them on the 1 hour time frame, which I'll look at with you very shortly on the chart. The Australian dollar, US dollar correlation, you can see very closely here, also tends to marry up with iron ore prices, copper, and also gold. So Australia accounts for a third of global iron ore and gold production, and that means that Australia's fiscal revenue is very sensitive to changes in metal prices. So based on the intermarket relationship, the Australian dollar is tightly correlated to iron ore and gold prices. So when iron ore and gold prices go up, often Australian dollar goes up as well. If the iron ore and gold prices go down, you will see Australian dollar sell off as well. And you can trade that correlation. And often, if you trade it directly, for example, via the Australian dollar, US dollar, there's less risk involved, and it's more straightforward than if you were trying to get exposure to, for example, iron ore. So Australian dollar, US dollar can be traded definitely with the correlation there. And then we have US dollar, Canadian dollar. So Canada is the 6th largest oil producer in the world. About a quarter of whose exports are oil, so it makes Canada's economy very sensitive to oil prices. Fluctuations in oil prices, they can be traded via US dollar, Canadian dollar. There's a very clear inverse correlation there. You can also trade it, for example, by other CAD crosses. It doesn't only have to be the US dollar, Canadian dollar. It can be traded by some of the additional correlations that we can have a look at there on the charts very shortly as well. But the US dollar CAD tends to be the strongest inverse correlation to oil prices. So you can see here with the Canadian dollar how it tracks the oil prices, and the way it's priced up, US dollar then CAD, the way that you can trade it means that it will tend to have an inverse correlation to oil prices. So if oil goes up, US dollar CAD goes down. When oil prices go down, US dollar Canadian dollar generally tends to go up. So again, if your preference is forex trading, you can often trade moves in oil via US dollar, Canadian dollar. You can just trade the inverse correlation as opposed to actually having to directly trade crude oil, for example. So with that, I've got a lot to cover with you on the charts. I want to go through quite a lot of sentiment as well. So we'll have a look at what the markets are doing at the moment with relation to sentiment, what is leading and what is not. I'm going to switch you over to my screens. Hopefully we won't get any sound cutting out as a result of that. So let me just bring that up for you. Yeah, fantastic. Thanks very much, Reese. So what you want to really be aware of at the moment, I'm just going to go through sentiment, and we'll take a look at what is leading and what is not right now. So overall, from the commodities and the commodity currencies that we're tracking and some of the FX crosses at the moment, the leader right now is copper. So copper is up to 0.6%. From a correlation point of view, if copper is rallying like that, you would naturally deduce that Australian dollar should be going up as well, and it is. So I'll just bring you over to the chart. I'll show you the example of that. So if we have a look at copper, we've got a rejection candle which is formed on the daily chart. It's catching a bid. We can put that into a 1 hour time frame here as well for copper, so you can see the reversal that we're seeing at the moment. This is copper prices, and then we just drag out Australian dollar. You can see like for like move pretty much. So the copper price is getting a bid at the moment. It's breaking out, and the Australian dollar, US dollar has found support today as well and has a very similar price structure. So often if you've got a breakout which is occurring on copper or gold, you can trade that via, this is copper again, you can trade it via the Australian dollar, US dollar. Okay, so we'll bring it back to sentiment again. So that's what we're looking at with respect to the charts. What I found interesting today is earlier on in the session, we did a recording and some analysis on this earlier on today. You can actually go over to the Gold and Silver Club YouTube channel and watch our analysis, which we put out today. The metals report, has silver bottomed, or is it going to $15? And we discussed what we're seeing right now on gold against the pound sterling. So it's been interesting because earlier on in the session, gold essentially was rallying against the pound sterling, and it started to catch a bid here before gold got support priced in US dollars. Now gold at the moment is getting supported in US dollars, but we saw it already earlier on in the day. You can see we're back at a support zone here for the pound gold priced in pound sterling. We have essentially come off this swing lows here, going back to April, March, and also February. Gold against the pound is breaking out at the moment, certainly on lower time frames. We'll see if we get more follow through, but it is back in a support zone, right back at the 6-month lows here, going back to February, and each time we've retested that over March and April as well, the price has tended to get supported for gold at these levels. So that begs the question then, are we going to potentially see the low get put in here for gold and silver? So if we then move over to silver, silver is also showing evidence at the moment of a potential reversal right at the lower Bollinger Bands for silver priced in pound sterling, and it was showing this earlier on today. And then you want to have a look at the potential for the low to get formed here as well with silver priced in US dollars. Now silver reclaimed the 1550 zone over the course of the last 24 hours. So we've seen a breakout below that level, and now it's back above that zone. Earlier on today, silver price in US dollars broke down to $15.37 per ounce. This is very oversold for silver. If you look at where silver was trading going back just 1 month ago, silver was trading above $17 per ounce. Silver priced in other currencies like the euro was breaking out almost to 1-year highs. And then just within the space of 1 month, with the escalation of trade wars between the US and China, and also other factors here, including the Federal Reserve FOMC statements, where we saw an increase in interest rates, and European Central Bank announcements as well. Overall, we've just seen the dollar continue to surge here over the last month. But we're now at another attempt with the US dollar to break above the 95 level, and it has again been met with resistance. And this is really important. If the dollar index here cannot break and close above the $95 level, it's now approximately the 6th time we've tested that over the last 6 weeks. If the dollar index cannot break above that swing high, and that takes you back to the 11-month highs going back to November, it is just then a range-bound market. And we've hit that level today. We've got a rejection candle forming, and it has the potential to then reverse again. So it's interesting that the dollar has not followed through after this breakout move today. And if it continues to sell off over the course, into the close today, over the course of the US session, it would suggest that we might get some support here for gold, for silver, for platinum, for the Australian dollar, for the euro. So we need to watch that. And as a result, if the US dollar sells off, if you're looking for a trade idea, I'm personally looking at the US dollar Japanese yen for a sell short at the moment. We're quite overbought, and we're right at the upper end of the Keltner channels at the moment. You can see where we're seeing a bit of a reversal. There is correlation between this, and inverse correlation between US dollar Japanese yen and gold prices. If gold goes up, generally speaking, US dollar Japanese yen goes down, and vice versa. So I'm looking for a bit of support to come in for gold short term, or you can look at the US dollar Swiss franc. That also has found resistance at the upper Bollinger Bands, and we found resistance at the Keltner channels as well. We're seeing a bit of a reversal at the moment. So I'm also looking at a sell short opportunity on the US dollar Swiss franc or the US dollar Japanese yen. I quite like both of those from overbought. If the dollar holds this price structure into the close, another failed breakout above the 95 level, and then traders might start to really pile in to a sell short, or certainly take some profit off the table. Now, don't get me wrong, the US dollar has been relentless in the upward trend of late. And each time it looks on the verge to be breaking down, the US dollar reverses, it gets supported, but it still can't break through the 95 level. And as a result, that could mean that the more times it attempts that level and just cannot break above it, at some point we're going to get a decision here, and it could be that the dollar tops. And normally, go back on the chart with silver, put it on a weekly chart. I'll show you it on my chart, but do it yourself on your own charting, okay? So this is a weekly chart for silver. We are right at the mid-July, pretty much, 18th of July. Have a look at where the lows have been in for silver over the last 2 years. Silver, it's at a low at the moment in July of 2018. The low again was in December of 2017. Last year, the low was in July of 2017. The low again was December of 2016. And then the low here, swing low, was put in again around June, July of 2016. The reason it got a bit more of a bid was because of Brexit, and metals just absolutely flew to the upside. So what does that mean? It means that silver prices, generally speaking, they bottom every 6 months, December, July, December, July. And where are we right now? We're the 18th of July. We're at the lower Keltner channels. We're really oversold with silver. We've got evidence here at the moment that gold and silver priced in pounds and some other currencies are already getting supported. And then the question is the dollar index at the moment, is it on the verge of a reversal, or is this just a temporary pause? And that's going to be really decided between now and the end of the week. So then we move over to gold prices. Gold at the moment is turning positive on the day, and we already saw that earlier on in the session with gold priced in pound sterling was getting supported. But you've got a nice horizontal level of support with gold price in sterling, whereas we've broken through quite a lot of support here on gold price in dollars. This is really oversold. It's below its Keltner channels. Very little time does gold tend to spend below this extreme level of oversold condition, where it's below the Bollingers, the monthly pivot, the Keltner channels as well. It looked like today that we might even come in for a retest back down to 12.18, or even down to about 12.06. But the big question today is the low in for gold? Is the low in today? Is this it? Has it overshot 1,230 US dollars or 1,225? And there is quite a lot of upside potential from here once we do form a low for gold. So we're very oversold at the moment relative to where prices were earlier on this year at 1,365 US dollars per ounce. There's the potential for a lot of upside from these prices. And what I look at in terms of a trade idea here, if I was going in aggressively, and it's always difficult to pick a low, it's very tricky to pick an exact turning point, and that's where we want to look at seasonality. So lows typically happen during the month of July on the metals. Normally, we want to be buying at the lower Keltner channels, which is where we are at the moment, so we're very oversold as well. Key psychological level of support is 1,200. You want to look at the gold to silver ratio, which has been turning of late, which suggests that a low is in. You want to look at correlation. So what is copper doing? Copper today is catching a bid. Platinum as well. We're getting a bit of support on platinum on the daily chart here too. Dollar is starting to sell off. Silver is getting supported, and metals in other currencies are all getting supported as well. I'm already long silver at these levels. So personally, we've executed new positions on silver at these zones. Again, I don't know that the exact low is in yet, but around this level, if you know how to position your risk to reward and you know how to organize your profit targets, your stop losses and so forth, there is quite a lot of potential with a trade at these levels where normally we bottom out over the month of July with the metals, okay? So then going back to gold, is this the low? So it's a good time again to be on today's webinar. What we really need to see is evidence of that over the course of this week. So whether today's low is it, so whether this move down to approximately 1,200 and about $20 per ounce, if this is the low, we want to see a little bit more follow through, but it would make sense soon to form a low as we transition from July into August. From a seasonal point of view, the strongest months of the year for the metals tend to be August and September as we go into the wedding season in Asia. So it's a really good time to be on this session. From a trade idea point of view, I would look at the potential to execute a trade around the current levels. So what are we at right now? 1227. Ideally, you want to put, I would be looking personally for a stop to be below the 1200 level to give it some breathing space, because that is a very psychological level. There is a monthly pivot at 1205 as well, just in case it rolled over. This would be an aggressive entry at the moment, and you'd really ideally want to wait for more confirmation. But from a trade idea point of view, it's not trading advice, it's just from a trade idea point of view, that's what I would look at in order to give this trade enough breathing room. But then what I would be targeting would be the potential to come back up towards the 1265 zone, above that 1280, and above that 1291 and possibly 1300 as well, taking the price back towards those swing highs. So there's about a 750 point potential upside target on that trade if I was going for a long at this level. So I'd be looking in the region of, let's say, about 3 to 1 on that trade. I could go really aggressive with the stop loss, position it below today's low, in which case you've got something along the lines of about a 7 to 1 from a trade opportunity. But gold and silver, you need to often give them a bit more breathing space. So I'll put that on your radar. Platinum as well. So basically platinum is at a 10-year low. The 800 level that we capitulated from previously was the 10-year low for platinum. I'm also looking at platinum at this level, especially where we're finding support. We're just about holding above the previous swing low on the left here. Platinum had a capitulation move when it came and retested the $800 level. And if you look at that on much higher time frames, like 10-year chart, $800, the US dollar level for platinum is very significant. It's found support over the last 10 years at that level, and that's where we're trading just above at the moment. So I find it interesting where we are positioned at the moment with the metals and whether we will get some additional follow through. So then going back to the overall title of today's webinar, the commodity currencies, for less risk and for tighter stop losses and more day trade, swing trades, this is where you look at the commodity currency. So if your view is that metals are bullish and we might break out over the next 24, 48 hours, you'd look at the potential to go long the Australian dollar, US dollar. So you could take, for example, on the MT5 platform, a simple breakout trade back towards the recent swing highs here. If we were to get confirmation of that for a long position for Australian dollar, US dollar, which looks quite strong at the moment. Then we look over to New Zealand dollar, US dollar. I mean, that looks well supported. Nice bounce off the Bollinger Bands and the Keltner channels here as well. That's getting well supported. I might actually look at a long position on this. I quite like that from a risk to reward point of view. It's getting well supported. Let's look at the weekly. Yeah, the weekly chart, there's a basing formation. So again, from a risk to reward point of view, if we do get more follow through and a breakout above today's high overnight and tomorrow, and we're at the buy zone, the accumulation zone at the lower Keltners here as well, I'd look at that, particularly if we get more in terms of dollar weakness. Now, I would also suggest we can keep on our radar the majors here. We can have a look at the pound US dollar, which are pretty oversold at the moment, not as strong as the Australian dollar or the New Zealand dollar at the moment. We'll have a look at the euro, US dollar. Yeah, getting a bit of support. That will tend to move just inversely to the US dollar as well. So really the commodity currencies are more interesting at the moment. So Australian dollar, US dollar, I'm looking at for a long. New Zealand dollar, US dollar, I'm looking at for a long. As I mentioned, silver at these levels below $15.50. I am a buyer, but you need to know what you're doing in terms of risk when you trade silver. I'm looking at new opportunities on gold, on platinum, and copper at these levels as well, although we can also just trade those via the commodity currencies and the correlations that we are seeing on those markets. Okay, so that's really what we're looking at. So then we'll go back to sentiment again. So let's just get a gauge of what is selling off at the moment. We saw a lot of pound weakness earlier on in the session from the CPI data. So pound New Zealand dollar is sinking at the moment. Pound Australian dollar, that makes sense. The Australian dollar is reversing to the upside, but the pound is still weak. So we could see more downside on the pound Australian dollar as a trade idea. Pound Swiss franc is quite weak. Pound Japanese yen is quite weak as well. Pound US dollar is weak, but I wouldn't short it. It's pretty overdone at the moment. Yeah, euro, New Zealand dollar. Yeah, New Zealand dollar looks like it's probably going to gain more strength than the euro over the next 24, 48 hours. That might not be bad as a sell short, actually. Euro, Japanese yen, I would look at that for a potential sell as well. US dollar, Japanese yen, I do like it. It's pretty overbought at the upper, the Bollingers and the Keltner channels as well. Quite good risk reward at these levels for a sell. You might want to wait for a bit more confirmation on that. And then, yeah, generally speaking, metals are leading. So you've got copper at the top here as the best performer of the day. Australian dollar as well. I'd really keep an eye on this, guys. We've just broken with the Australian dollar. We're just breaking above the pivot. And we're just reclaiming the 0.74 handle. So I would definitely keep an eye on that. Sentiment's quite strong. New Zealand dollar as well. I'll have a look at that for a long after this session. Yeah, Australian dollar, Japanese yen catching a bid. No surprise there with the Australian dollar strength. Yeah, I'll have a look at the correlation there with gold, Australian dollar, excuse me, pound, Australian dollar. Yeah, is a sell. I'll put that on the watch list. I'll just quickly scan through and see if there's anything else. I do quite like the pound Japanese yen for a potential short as well, actually. It's retraced back to a better entry price. Just see if anything else is lining up. Euro, New Zealand dollar, I'll put that on the watch list. Euro, Swiss franc. Euro, Japanese yen, I also like for a sell. US dollar, Japanese yen, I really like for a sell at these levels. If we continue to see weakness in the dollar. US dollar, Swiss franc, I also like for a sell. Right now, I like Australian dollar for a long, for a buy. You can see it's already wrapped. I mean, I think since we've been on this webinar, it's already up. Let's have a look at that 5-minute chart. How are we looking? Yeah, it's already popped. Okay, you can see lower time frames, 15-minute chart, 30-minute chart, 1-hour chart. Looks quite strong. So Australian dollar, US dollar. That is basically a bear trap, a false break of support, and we've come right into the Keltners and the Bollingers. I'll go over that again, guys. So just for those of you joining us a little bit later in the session, we've seen the gold and silver really starting to catch a bid now. Actually, I'll put that on the 1 hour. I've got all my screens around me so I can see this really catching. It's a really good time to be on this webinar, guys. We're seeing quite a lot of movement. It's been a bit flat this earlier on today on some of the markets, but now they're all moving. 6:26 London time. We're back at 12:28 with gold. I would definitely have that on your watch list. Go to YouTube. Go if you've got a YouTube channel. Go to just search for the Gold and Silver Club. Subscribe to our channel as well. Go to Binary YouTube channel, of course. Subscribe as well there. But you can watch the analysis. We've gone over this in quite a lot of detail today. We talked about this move before it's actually occurred now. So if you're interested in that, we go through a little bit more in terms of the different types of levels and go into fundamentals a bit more. So again, just go to YouTube, search the Gold and Silver Club, go to today's video, which is the metal price forecast. Silver prices bottomed, or they're going to $15 per ounce, and you can also watch that in a little bit more detail. And yeah, just subscribe to our YouTube channel to be kept updated with those reports. Okay, so gold is definitely on the watch list as well. So my favorite trade ideas right now are Australian dollar, US dollar for a buy, US dollar, Swiss franc for a sell, New Zealand dollar, US dollar for a buy, pound Japanese yen for a sell, US dollar, Japanese yen for a sell, euro, Swiss franc, it's not in my top 5, but I'll put it in there. Euro, Swiss franc also for a sell. It's a retrace entry for a sell. Euro, Japanese yen, I still like for a sell, but I prefer US dollar, Japanese yen for a sell. Euro, New Zealand dollar, it's moved quite a lot already. If you're trading it on MT5, it's quite a lot of movement already, but I still see that as bearish. Pound Australian dollar, also like this for a sell short, but it's also moved a lot. As I mentioned before, I'm already long on silver. I mean, silver's really starting to get going to the upside now. You can see this potential V-shaped reversal pattern reversal, which I'm not surprised about at all. So I suspect what you'll see here, if this is the low, you'll basically get a V-shaped reversal pattern recovery, and within the next few days you'll be back at $15.70, $15.70. Then you'll move back up to $15.90, and then we'll be back above $16 per ounce by the end of the month. If this is around about the low, it seems to be, excuse me, suggesting that at these levels. Platinum now is almost back at $820 per ounce. So you've got platinum, nice reversal on that as well. Bear in mind, everything is subject to what is going on in the markets right now, so what we can see. But at the Gold and Silver Club, we're always following real-time news feeds, so we can be really nimble with our trades. So throughout the day, we are kept updated with all of the news items as they break, as they come through. So this is my view based on what we're seeing in the market right now. It's based on momentum. You can see even during the time that I've been talking on this webinar, there's a few pips which have already broken out on Australian dollar. Gold's going up, silver's going up on the hourly, platinum's breaking out on the 1 hour time frame. So even for short-term momentum trades, this you can see we're breaking out on platinum. This view can change if Trump has additional trade tariffs that he imposes on China, or we get any breaking news or any new data that comes out from the US during the week, and anything which can change the sentiment of the dollar. But right now, as of 6:30 London time, sentiment is dollar negative and positive for commodity currencies, for the metals at the moment, and that's enough to make some good profits, certainly on MT5. Although, of course, there's always risk to every trade. There's no guarantee on any position. You need to know what your risk is up front, but there is potential for some good sentiment and follow-through moves that I see lining up at the moment. So you can see that on platinum right now and silver. Also, I'll put it on your radar that Bitcoin had a big move yesterday. So if you didn't see this, this was in the space of about 30 minutes yesterday. 20 billion was added in terms of the market cap of cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin broke out yesterday over $800. It cleared back above 7,000 US dollars, and it broke all the way up to 7,500, but it's not giving back those gains. So Bitcoin has broken out of a major downward trending channel. It's broken above the neckline. It's also broken above the Bollinger Bands. Look at Bitcoin on a weekly chart. It's cleared above 7-week highs, and there's a lot of excitement that Bitcoin has now bottomed. And if it has, a lot of traders have been trying to catch Bitcoin at lower prices, who've been expecting it to go down to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. they will start to get FOMO soon, fear of missing out, essentially, as the price goes up, if this is the low. And it looks like it is. In my opinion, it looks like the low is in for cryptocurrencies. There's just been too much positive sentiment and too many positive news items that have come out over the last few days here. And we've seen Coinbase that they're looking to increase an additional 5 cryptocurrencies on their platforms. And the sentiment has really changed. We've got a real-time crypto news feed that we get throughout Reuters throughout the week. So we see what's going on all the time here. And overall, this is pretty big. The move that we're seeing at the moment on the cryptos. You can trade those, of course, on MT5 via binary as well. Okay, so to get more information on that, I think you've got access to that via your portal on binary.com, where you can go in and set up, if you're outside of Europe, you can set up your MT5 platform for trading the cryptos as well as the commodities too. Okay, so I hope that gives you a bit of a sense of what we're looking at the moment. And again, what I'm just seeing all my charts right now is overall metals are looking quite strong at the moment, so we could be on for some good reversals, and if you time it right, you could be on for some really good opportunities here over this quarter. So normally July, August, they're not quiet for the metals. A lot of traders will go on holiday, and some will not trade as much Forex markets. This is where commodities, they can really wake up. One of the predominant reasons for that for the metals is because as we go into August, it's the beginning of the wedding season. In Asia, you get a lot of imports increase for gold, for silver, and as a result, gold and silver prices can be quite active over the months of July and also going into August. So there's certainly lots of trade opportunities at the moment, which you can be looking at. So on that note, at the Gold and Silver Club, we do provide a service called the Live Trading Room for all of our community. And if you would like to join our community of successful traders, you get access to the following. So at the Gold and Silver Club, you get access to live trade alerts, and we have availability now where you can get access to WhatsApp alerts. So WhatsApp is really handy because you get it so quick when we have a new trade set up or there's breaking news. So yesterday, for example, we were able to real time within 2 minutes of the breakout of Bitcoin breaking back above $7,000 and the Reuters news report coming out on that, we were able to provide that for all of our clients for the Gold and Silver Club within a couple of minutes. You would have known that Bitcoin has broken out. We put out updates if we've got a gold breakout or if silver's broken down from a level, or if there's a new trade alert or we're getting in at a particular level. So you are kept up to date real time with major news in the markets, exactly what we are doing. We've got access to Reuters news feed, so we keep you updated on all of the trades that we are taking at the Gold and Silver Club. As part of the Live Trading Room program, you've got access to mentorship, expert advice, you've got in-depth market analysis, you get trusted insights. So effectively, you can move quicker on trade opportunities in the markets. Okay, so it provides that for you by being a member of this service. All you need to do is go to www.jointhelivetradingroom.com to find out more information about that. So the link is just www.jointhelivetradingroom.com. And from there, it just fills you in with all of the details. So if that's something that you are interested in, you just want to read a little bit more about that, all you need to do if you want to become a member of that service is go to that link, fill out the application form, and we will get in touch with you ASAP at the Gold and Silver Club. Okay, so it's www.jointhelivetradingroom.com. Okay, good. So with that, I hope that helps. I hope that gives you some clarity over what we're seeing in the markets right now. Overall sentiment today, as we get closer to the close in the US, which is about 3 hours or so away, it's now turning dollar negative. Copper, silver, gold, platinum, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, and gold, they're all starting to catch a bid. Gold priced in euros and gold priced in pounds, most significantly, is getting quite a significant bounce at the moment off that major support zone going over the last 6 months. So there's some good opportunities out there. I wish you all good trading. I hope that helps you, and feel free to make an application to join us if you want to be on all of our live trading rooms to get access to the trade alerts, the WhatsApp messages, all of the breaking news and so forth. Okay, so thanks very much, guys. Hope you enjoyed today's session, and we'll definitely catch you back here on the next one. And thanks to Sharice and the team at Binary for hosting today's webinar. Okay, thanks everyone. Take care and good trading.